Well, hey, and welcome everybody. I'm so excited to be here today with you. This is your virtual financial team prosperity training, and I'm very excited to be here with my husband, Mike Amos. I've got a few announcements that I want to go over, and he's got a great presentation put together for us. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. Let me grab my presentation and start it here from the beginning. Towards the end of June. What an exciting time. Things are really starting to pick up, and I think that, things could be blowing up for you as well. So what I wanted to talk about today is just a few announcements and things that came up this week. One of the main things, and one of the things that you all should know, especially the consultants, is how does your client track their policies? This has come up a lot. So I just wanted to give you all these 3 links. Most people already have them. Under mytransamerica.com, that's the best place for the client to sign up to track their term or their LV term. And then premier.transamerica.com is their IUL in 49 states. There they can edit their payments, skip a payment, put in a lump sum, they can look at their cash value, they can do all that from any device. And then the similar website for New York is going to be TFLIC, Transamerica Financial Life Insurance Company.com. That's the IUL in New York. Same exact website like Premier, but it's just for New York. So those are definitely websites that you should know. Jot them down if you need them. And then tomorrow, they're going to be doing a training on Legacy Shield. So not a big part of our business, but if anybody wants this link, I'd be happy to send it over to them. Mike made this great slide about how to register. You go into your MyWFG, My Business, click on Salesforce, and you look at all of the different little options there. You select Legacy Shield and go ahead and sign up for your free account. So definitely something that's available to you if you're licensed and are carrying E&O. And, the WFG platform does 2 trips a year. There's trips with WealthWave, there's trips for virtual. So once this whole Corona thing blows over, things are going to start, becoming awake again. And this looks like the first thing happening here. Looks like the Odyssey Ireland contest is over. They announced the winners. So there's always a fun international trip. Hopefully next year, we'll all be there together. Another great thing that we're doing is a 12-week year in our WAM groups, the weekly accountability meeting groups. If you're not, on this one, not a big deal. Get into the book, start reading it. If you need a link to the ebook, let us know. If you've never downloaded Audible before, it's a free download. It's really going to help you get focused on the important things that are uncomfortable that make your business go. And then on the WAM groups, we talk about those things, and it's just a great time to get to know some of the people and what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, and it's definitely a great hour that I look forward to on Saturdays after our company meeting. I'm also starting an admin YouTube channel. I think there's only like 1 or 2 videos on there right now, but I wanted you all to know that once I have, that all set up, I'll send it out to everybody, and I'll be posting videos about administrative type of things. So I'm really excited about that. And that's pretty much what I have. I love this little slide. We can and we will. Let's make it happen, right? This is the best team ever. So excited to be here with everybody. I cannot wait for Mike's training. Let me go ahead and grab him really quickly. Bear with me just for 1 second. Thanks so much.
All right, you guys, it is almost the end of June already. We should be in a good state at this point when communicating with people. Remember the initial wave of the COVID or coronavirus, people got stuck and people weren't sure what to do. People are coming out now. They're starting to make decisions again. They're more interested in the normal pace of life. Hopefully that continues. And what I want to talk to you guys today about is a multi-week series that we're going to start today on winning the psychology in the marketplace. Remember, the sale on a client is made at the very beginning when you start marketing. A good recruit that you're bringing in, that starts with how you market. So we're going to talk about that today, but we're going to get through a few announcements first. Anything that you can do during this period of time, the summertime is notoriously a slower time. I'm not sure in the year 2020 how that's going to pan out, but notoriously the summertime, what we try to do is we try to extract value out of that from our activity, time, energy, efforts put into the business. But whatever it doesn't do immediately, it has a nice build-up effect to our strong months, which is like August, September, October, into November through leading up to about Thanksgiving. So do what you can now, build your business knowing that it's going to compound. If you've got new partners coming in, if they've got a Facebook account, number one, anything that they go and do in the Facebook group, it's closed. It's not going to be out for everybody to see. So they can come in, they can associate themselves with the group, get to know their partners. They can feel free to ask questions, get answers, see material that's posted, watch other people that are making it happen. Like I said, in a virtual environment, we're not meeting every day. So the more that you guys can do for your partners to create a connection back to the business, the model, and the mission, it will greatly help you. Also, $2.3 million paid daily. I just want to keep reminding you guys of this because what you want to do is, A, know that the IMO platform is already paying out a great deal of money, the most of any IMO platform in this country, but also realize that when you're introducing innovation, disruption to an already cash flush platform, you have the ability to take some of that market share. So what you have to understand is if you're sitting around doing nothing, money's being paid. So I try to think about that and organize my day around making sure that it all starts back with me. And like I said, 310 is what we look at. If you are building a base or a home office of 10 partners coming in every month, 3 of those are what's direct to you, then that's the growth that you're looking for. That will lead into the personal income, the agency income, the expansion income, and the bonus income. It also starts to lead the way and set the examples. If you fall short every month and you're not doing your part, well, that's where it lies. Now, in the very beginning, this bottom number 10 will come from this. So this is going to fuel this, and then once this starts, it fuels the organizational growth outside of the home office, and that's your digital portfolio. Our portfolio of digital agencies are going to pay you decades of income to come. It also starts with knowing what you have to do right now, and we've got 4 coin qualifiers this month. Ron Harris out of California, Vika Sharma out of Michigan, Michael Eisbrenner out of South Dakota, and David Chase out of California. Like I said, the stepping stones of what you need to do, concentrate on what you can accomplish right now, having the correct mindset, knowing that if you do what you need to do day in, day out, and meet these little small metrics, small goals that you've set for yourself, you're going to get to the point where a percentage of that $2.3 million is flowing through your organization. And trust me, guys, this will continue to build up. They're anticipating to pay out $4 billion in the next coming years. Also, it starts with education as well. So understand that Wednesday, I know it's a weird time for a meeting, you've got the Wealth Wave 360 Essentials training every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Now, in our virtual environment, we, Virtual Financial, meet in the theater. On the opposite side of that is the auditorium. That's where all the Wealth Wave stuff is. That's where the training is, as well as the replay of that training. And, of course, right here at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, we have our Team Prosperity meeting. We try to go into details that you can directly take from that meeting to help your business. Alana mentioned we're in, we just started the 12-week year. First week we went over vision. Vision is important, guys. You're not going to just build a business from the ground floor without having a vision that motivates you, that you can see an endpoint, that you can feel it with emotion. Week 2, we talked about the goals. So you have the vision, which is the motivating factor, and then you have the goals. What is it that you want to accomplish? Once you have those 2 things in place, all you have to do, and what we'll be talking about in week 3 at the WHAM group this Saturday, is the tactics. The tactics are the activity, the game plan that are going to drive you hopefully to your goals. If you don't have strong tactics, it's going to show in the system. So that's really what you're looking at: vision, goals, tactics, and then going to work to make it happen. Also, don't forget, guys, as you're building the agency, senior vice presidents have to, that promotional packet of paperwork has to accompany this spreadsheet right here. That's how they verify that you've got the office growth, that you've got the client growth, and everything in a position to be signed off on. If you don't have this, they're not even going to review it. So make sure that you understand for yourself, your new partners, and your organizational growth, everybody has to use these. There's a YouTube video on the channel that goes through and explains exactly what to do and how to keep track of this. Also, one of the final notes before I get into the what we're going to talk about today is if you are using the message sequence on LinkedIn, it doesn't have to be the exact message sequence that we lay out. I'm just trying to get into the habit to form the messages that you can send out message 1, message 2, message 3. And if you've got a decent profile, if you've got a decent group of messages, you really should be getting a percentage of those people on the phone that we're looking at right now that ranges from about 15 up to about 28% of your new LinkedIn connections on the phone within a first 30, 45-day period. And then it's just mastering the presentation of how to handle that call. If we can get it up to 30%, we're going to be rocking and rolling. And the final thing I want to talk about is the action step that we left off with last week. Remember, if you're asking somebody to do something, you've got to give them a reason to actually do it. You can't just throw an action step out there and expect somebody to take it. Think about negotiating with children. You can't just tell them to do something. Now, you can yell at them, and eventually they'll do it. But if you give them a reason to do it and give them that something's in it for them, they're going to take that action step. Same thing with marketing. They have to understand why they're doing this and what's in it for them. A couple of meetings past few months. Well, the early one that was framing conversations and closing language. This was on the backs of the Tier 1 contact. This will help you guys close sales, handle objections, rebuttals on the client side, but it also helps you frame conversation. We've always talked about this. If you tell somebody exactly what's going to happen on that phone call, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to fall in line, do exactly that. They're going to give you a reason why they can't do that. Now, the other two meetings right here, one went over Facebook and one went over the LinkedIn algorithm. These are very good to review, and it will help you out. If you have a lot of conversations, there's not much results coming on the backside with clients or partners, probably because you're doing something wrong. Framing conversations will dramatically help you tighten up the time that you take a prospect from the initial communication to the action step to see what they're actually going to do. Okay, so let's talk about how to use psychology to improve your digital marketing campaign. This is very important. It's a psychological war in marketing. And once you understand that and master it, it's a lot easier to go out there and have people start to raise their hand or take those action steps or call to actions that you want them to take. Psychology research that will help you indirectly convince your leads. Remember, you're not just throwing stuff out there directly, pitches, sales, recruiting. All of that stuff will get lost in the marketplace because everybody else is doing it. And when everybody else does something, it gets ignored. You want to stand out. You want to be different. You want to be one of those marketers in the top, 5, 10% so that you stand out, get noticed, and extract value from your efforts. So the first thing that we absolutely have to do, and a lot of this is just kind of tutorial, schoolwork kind of presentations, but it's very important because I see a lot of us losing this part in marketing. So we're going to start here, and then next week we're going to kind of springboard off this to really go into breaking down your personas, identifying them, and then getting things in front of them that are going to help. First thing you have to be able to do is relate to your customer. Best way to motivate your customers to do something is to tell them what other customers in the same situation have done so far. It's typical. I want to be like somebody else that, keeping up with the Joneses, that was a saying when I was growing up, is keeping up with your neighbor's standard of living. Same thing here, to try to find a common ground, draw similarities among your customers as well as between your company and your customers. So relate to your customers and then also relate them to your existing customers. Let me give you an example. Standard message. Help save the environment. Related message, 75% of hotel guests in this hotel reuse their towels. This related message got a much better response in the reuse of towels in the case study that I was looking at. So it's very important that when you relate to your customer, things start to turn. Number 2 is start small. You cannot go into a marketing campaign and ask somebody to do 10 things to get what they're looking for. This starting small is commonly known as the foot in the door technique. Starting small and then gradually scaling up your request is one way to convince your customers to do something. Just get a little bit of a commitment at first, something small, and then build off that. We see examples of this everywhere. First, a nonprofit organization, will ask for your email address. And a lot of the funnels that we create, that's the first thing that we want is the email address to go on. So in case they drop out of the funnel, this has got some way to contact them. Next, they'll keep you updated regarding their events and progress. Before you know it, they're asking you to donate. So the progress of starting small, asking for something very simple in the beginning, and then building off of that, it works well. If you're asking for too much in the beginning, guess what? There's no clicks to your links. There's no people that are answering your call to actions. It's mostly ignored. Number 3, use random reward schedules. And we've got a bunch of stuff in the WealthWave system that you can use, and you've got some other stuff on the outside, how to become a better marketer, how to become a better, whatever it is that you're talking to somebody. But instead of having just a fixed ratio reinforcement schedule, reward randomly. So if you're going to do a webinar and you're trying to draw people to that webinar about financial literacy, maybe give some kind of prize in there that's awarded randomly to whoever's going to be there. If you've got 20 people there, one person wins the prize. That'll draw people in. This is very important. We learn to associate our behaviors with events. For example, associating going back to a restaurant and getting a free drink makes me want to go back to that restaurant, psychologically speaking. It involves rewarding a behavior to get more of that behavior. So once again, in marketing, if you're giving stuff away, if you're on webinars, giving stuff away randomly, it will draw crowds. Number 4, frame your sales pitches in an appealing way. Nobody wants to hear all the jargon that we knew from studying for a license and going out about talking about insurance. I don't even really want to hear that stuff most of the time. When you're coming up with your sales pitches and marketing messages, be sure to take this into account. Think of a more appealing way to frame your messages, even if your messages are describing the exact same thing. So let's look at a jacket here that's supposed to be $125, $23 for the tripod. 2 ways of saying it: $113.50 for the outdoor jacket, $23 for the tripod, $125 for the jacket, 50% off, $11.50 for the tripod. So understand that percentages, that's what people think of. You see a big percentage right there, and it draws them in. So just like we've always talking about, you want somebody to either agree or disagree on a large majority of what you're saying. And if people see 50% off and that draws them, understand the psychology of that and how to frame that into your sales pitches. So, framing your sales pitches in an appealing way is something that we have to get better at, because the stuff that we basically pitch, financial literacy, how money works, insurance, retirement planning, it's viewed in society as boring. And if you look at people, not a lot of people take care of that stuff. So we need to get in front of them with some way that's going to actually have them raise their hand or take that call to action. Number 5, appeal to your customer senses. Sight and sound are the 2 big ones, guys. If you have visuals, and like we always talk about, the ad that you're producing, whether it's an organic ad or a paid advertisement, up to 90% of that is going to be the visual. Can you get that person to stop scrolling long enough to at least read what you have? That's going to come from the vision. So the ads, brochures, flyers, websites, email, blog posts, social media, visually appealing and colorful. It's got to jump off the page. That's what the most important part. Now, I know this sounds weird because it should be the information, but it's going to be the vision. On top of that, any multimedia to spice things up, including videos, things that will make people remember your brand and remember your message through sight and sound will dramatically improve the results of what you're doing. Number 6, you've got to capture your audience attention. You've got to do that very, very quickly. I know with everything that's out there, with all the scrolling going along, if you're writing something, if you're posting something, be sure that your call to your audience attention is exact. And maybe, understanding in this age of information overload, people have very, very, very short attention spans. You've got to engage your audience and capture their undivided attention, and you got to do it very quickly. And like that goes back to what we were saying, a nice visual that pops off the page will do that. Throw your customers an anchor. Understand where they're coming from. Put yourself in their shoes. Customers that many of your customers, especially in this field, are not going to be knowledgeable about how money works, financial literacy. The statistics tell us that. So what you need to do is, understand they're scrambling for some type of a reference point or anchor to go off of. If this is provided in the question, you immediately seize it, and you can base or pivot your thinking off of that. So remember, if you're putting out something and you have the inclination or premonition that some people might not understand what you're saying, go ahead and preemptively clarify yourself so that somebody who's not understanding doesn't jump off to do the research, or because they feel dumb doesn't raise their hand and say, yeah, I would like to talk to you more about this. Number 8, put your audience to work. And this is important. Remember, we talked about you can't give them a long list of things to do for the call to action, but you can involve them, and they will remember things much clearly and for longer periods of time if they have something associated with it. So if you want someone to remember something longer, you need them to get to work and put in a little bit more effort. In other words, the depth of processing is key. So how do you put your audience to work, but not in a dreadful way? Think about incorporating like quizzes and surveys into your marketing campaigns. You're not asking somebody to do a lot to get what they want, the call to action, but if you're trying to get over things that you want to embed in people's mind and make sure they remember, have them do a couple things to make sure they're involved in the process. And then invite your friends. Then, in the terms of marketing, why do you think so many other marketing companies are founded with invite your friends? The truth is that your friends have a lot of influence on you, and you guys see this in your business. People say stuff that you talk to, and then all of a sudden, maybe they're not interested in the client services, they're not interested in the business opportunity because what their neighbor said, who has no idea what they're talking about, but nevertheless, it's influenced them. So the truth is, your friends do have a lot of influence on you. Think about all the times you try to do something new just because your friends did it or encourage you to do so, or the opposite, talks you out of it. So harness the power of social groups in your marketing, and you can drive it to the next trend. And remember, if some of your friends start to do stuff, other people in that circle will see that, and they may follow suit. And then finally, ask your customers to do something in advance. This is important. Think back of your favorite band 5 years ago. What's the maximum amount of money you would pay to see them now? Now think about maybe a current favorite band. What's the maximum amount you pay to see them in 5 years? Participants substantially overpaid for a future opportunity to indulge in a current preference. So you could potentially take advantage of this by asking your customers to do something in advance for what they want to have the time and to change their preferences before they do that. So understand that if you get somebody involved in a process, they're more likely to continue on with that process. So get them to do something. We can't take upfront money for stuff, but think about, if they're going to come to one of your webinars, make sure they do a couple things in advance to prepare for that, to have a little skin in the game so that there's more of an opportunity they're actually going to show up. And then the other thing you want to talk about is when you are diagnosing and you are looking at your client or partner persona, there's going to be some profiling questions that you need to understand. And when you understand those profiling questions and how to diagnose somebody and how to preemptively get in front of them with some things that are going to make them think and make them think hard, then you put yourself as someone who can provide solutions to problems, not selling products, not recruiting for a business, but solutions. And we've been talking about this for many months. So number 1, what keeps them awake at night? Well, indigestion, boiling up in their esophagus, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. That's kind of a weird statement. It kind of invokes someone that's really stressed out. But, guys, look at our society. There's a lot of people that are stressed out. They're up at night thinking about stuff. So when you can start to understand what keeps them awake at night and kind of digging into that pain point, it will greatly help you in developing your client or partner personas and then starting to talk to those people in a way that has them really think about solving the issue. What are they afraid of? There's a lot of people afraid in our country right now of different things. So once you start to understand what your specific client personas are afraid of, or partner personas, you're able to go out there and you start marketing in a way that has them say, yeah, I'm actually afraid of it. Let me talk to you about it. Number 3, what are they angry about? Once again, there's a lot of people in this country that are angry about stuff. Who are they angry at? And once again, if you're dialed into your persona, you probably understand who they're angry at or what they're angry at. Number 4, what are their top 3 daily frustrations? So if you're talking on the partner side, if they can't see their kids, they can't make extracurricular activities, the money's not there, they're afraid of worrying about losing their job because they finally made it up to a mid-level or senior management position, if they're worried about retirement, whatever it is, when you're dialed into your persona, you understand what their frustrations are, and you can begin to speak to them about solving those frustrations without being direct pitches. Number 5, what trends are occurring or will occur in their business or lives? Remember, we are a company of disruption on the virtual side. So when you look at how things are happening, are changing, and how things have changed over the past 20 years, a lot of people with business models that haven't adopted to the digital age are facing extinction. If you're looking at the client side, for a lot of people of a certain age and below, Social Security is probably not going to be there, at least not in this form. So understand, what is your client or partner persona? Who are they, and what trends are occurring in their personal or business lives that are going to affect them going forward? Number 6, what do they secretly desire the most? What is the main thing that they desire? What's the thing they want? Remember, it's the carrot or the stick. People will either take action because they want to avoid having something happen to them, because they want to, get something in the future, a goal or a need. So what do they want the most, and how can you help them get that? Number 7, is there a built-in bias to the way they make decisions? Examples, engineers are extremely analytical. So when we deal with engineers, they tend to look at the numbers very deeply, be very analytical about stuff. So when you understand who your persona is on the client or partner side, is there a built-in bias to the way they make decisions? You need to understand that, and when you're marketing, take that into consideration. Number 8, do they have their own language? Remember, if you go out talking about financial, insurance jargon, all of this stuff, people are going to shut down. The people that you want to work with from the client or partner side that you are developing the persona for, some of them have their own language. You speak their language, not yours. Number 9, who else is selling something similar to them now, and how? This is a $1 trillion industry, guys. There's a lot of people selling stuff, pitching stuff, retirement, protection. Understand what people are doing and how they're doing it, because most of them are doing it wrong, so you can see what not to do and how to separate yourself. And number 10, who else has tried selling them something similar, and how has that effort failed? So once again, you're looking for people that are doing it well to learn from, and then most people who are doing it wrong also to learn from, but learn what not to do and how to better approach the people that will get the results that others haven't seen. And then one of the final things we want to talk about today is laying the groundwork for this series on the psychology of markets and marketing, is when you surround yourself with certain types of people. And the reason we're always drilling you guys with developing personas is because you can't be everything to everyone. When you develop who you can help the best, who you want to work with the most, you start to call those people out. So let me give you an example. Call out your target market. And we talked about this on LinkedIn posts. We talked about this on advertisements. Are you a real estate agent? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you an insurance agent? Attention, self-employed. Attention, so call out the market that you want to talk to. Number 1, algorithms will understand that a lot more and reward you for that, and then put that in front of those people that you actually want to get in front of. Number 2, describe the problem in a rich, vivid detail, financially and emotionally. Remember, just like when we're trying to reach a goal, we want to see ourselves there. We want to see ourselves there, feel ourselves there, and feel ourselves there with emotion. Same thing here. People are having problems. You need to describe it in detail what's going on, because you're looking for that pain point, and like I said, describe it in a financial as well as an emotional way. Number 3, describe the cost of staying where they are. And this is very important, because when you're presenting something, people have different angles or action points they can take. They can take what you've recommended. They can not take what you've recommended. So there's a lot of different ways that can come out of our conversations with people. But if somebody's not going to take the advice on the client side, if something's suitable, it works for them, it's going to improve their situation now and going forward, okay, if we don't take this action step, what's the cost of staying where they are now? And how bad can things really get if they don't solve the problem? Remember, you got to paint that picture. If we're going there on your recommendation, what does it look like? On the other side, if we're pulling it back and we're not going with your recommendation, what does the fork in the road look like? You got to paint that picture. You got to make people understand their decisions they make today can dramatically influence their future on a positive or negative note. And then number 4, now prove that you can solve the problem. This is the biggest part of opening the doors and getting a lot of people into the client or the partner side of your business. You've got to prove that you're the person that can solve the problem, and you do that by starting to solve some of the problem. You don't give everything away. sharing some of what you do or what you can do. So giving them a little teaser, just like a movie trailer or preview, just gives you a little bit, tries to suck you in and want to see the rest of the movie. Same thing here. Give a little bit of it away. How can you help? Draw interest, and then get those people into conversations. Number 5, ask your prospects to reach out if they would like some additional help. So once you've gone in there and done all these things, you probably have drawn some interest from the people you actually want to talk to, your persona. You need to offer ways they can ask for additional help. And that's very important. A lot of us forget that. You've got to make sure you extend that invitation to do something that will reach out and get the additional help they're looking for. And that really is the start of this multi-week series. I didn't want to throw too much, and I know a lot of that stuff was probably boring. There's a lot of words on every one of those PowerPoints. I try to avoid that. But when you're talking about the groundwork and the structure, it's important you guys understand. You need to absorb some of that, put it into play. We're going to talk next week about taking some of this foundational groundwork and what it actually means in advertisements, in conversation, in post. So we'll build off of it next week. Today, guys, we were in the hospitality lounge. So when you get to a senior vice president running an office with an organizational growth of a total of 100 or more, we'll build out an office for you. Up until that time, you can use any one of these lounges or boardrooms.
Mike, that was a fantastic training. Don't be silly. I don't think it was boring at all. I thought that it was great, and I got a lot of really, really valuable points out of it, and I hope you all did too. I'm actually going to go through it again, or maybe ask Mike to send me the PowerPoint so I can go over it again and really start utilizing some of those great tips that he gave us. So let me go ahead and stop the recording, and then we can open up the floor for questions, comments, suggestions, anything that you all want to share. Thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day.